first what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it by hand, separate my colors, and then do my mixing once I get to that point. More thorough mixing anyway. And I also decided I'm going to put some titanium dioxide in my yellow and my orange to try to help combat the color discoloration that happens. And I'm hoping the rest of the soap goes way better than the prep did. Trying to move the melted oils off the stove so that they could start to cool down, and it slipped, and I dumped a good bit of my oils on the stove, and there's no way to calculate like exactly how much what I dumped out, so I had to redo all of my other oils for this batch, and my lye water was already starting to cool off, so hoping the rest goes a lot better than what the beginning has. Okay, so, and because this is a layered soap, I want to try to get pretty good dimensions for each color. So we're gonna pour off each one and do the layers. Gonna go ahead and separate everything so I know that I have roughly what I want in each one. Just to make sure, I mean, they don't have to be perfect. It's not like I'm measuring to a certain exact number. I just want roughly to be the same amount in each one. Fingers crossed. If we get too much left over, we'll split it. Okay, let's get this scraped out. Get it off of this thing. So I think this will be the last fall soap that I make. I made 2 other ones. I'll have some fragrance oil left over from this one, but I don't think it'll be enough to do like a full batch. So I might do some small soaps or something just to complement the ones that I've already done. But I was trying to get them all done ahead of time because I have a show coming up. All right, so we are going to do, I think, the black layer first. So let's bring that. And let's see here. Go ahead and mix this in a little bit. Might be able to hand mix it. We'll see what happens when we put this fragrance oil in. And it also seems to mute the colors a good bit. First time I've had a fragrance oil that behaved that way. Last time it didn't take very long and it started to set up, but it's good for layers. So, I mean, I'm kind of hoping that it, to a certain extent, behaves that way again. Okay, let's go ahead and just give this a quick burst to make sure that everything's incorporated in there. And I'm gonna have to make sure I clean my stick blender a little bit better than normal because this is the activated charcoal. And it's very, very good at coloring things, but just one color. All right, so let's get our mold here. Get this scraped down. Yeah, it definitely thickens up, but that's good. As long as we stay on schedule. All right, so the black goes in. This is going to take some serious manhandling, I think, to get this smooth as we want it. I'm going to leave some for the top. I don't know if it'll set up too much or not, but nope, we don't want any for the top because this is going to be a face soap. Get everything out of here we can. My videos would be probably a lot shorter if I was quicker at cleaning my bowls and stuff, but alas. Alright. Ooh, that sets up quick. That fragrance oil is not one that I'm going to be getting again. I can say that with some certainty. Sorry, Nature's Garden. This one is definitely not a win. Try to get this level. Then I'll have to clean up the sides. Okay, let's see how this is going to work with this stencil thing that I made. The way this batter looks, I just don't know. This off of the edge here. Try to clean this up a little bit before I put the rest of the layers in. Feeling that there's going to be some, but do the best that we can. Like I said, it definitely doesn't take long. Once that batter starts thickening up with this fragrance oil, it's like right now. It's like okay, it's too far gone. Okay, let's get our next layer. And if this wouldn't have been like one of the main ones that I bought for a fall fragrance, I probably would have mixed it just because it is kind of a pain to work with. But I didn't have it in the budget to purchase any more fragrances for the fall. So tried to come up with designs I knew I could kind of make it work. All right, let's do the yellow next. Scrape down. This wiped off as well. Let's see here. Where'd my yellow go? I'm almost worried to put TD in this at the same time just because of how quickly it thickens. So I'm just wondering if I should chance it and just scared. Well, make sure it's okay. We're gonna go for it. Fingers crossed I can get this in the mold at the same time. And it's going to make it look a little bit lighter right off the bat, but because of this fragrance oil the way that it is, I'm hoping that when it's all said and done and it's cured, it's close to the original color that we had, just because it does discolor. And just like the activated charcoal tends to thicken better, the TD tends to, all of those are playing a factor. It's just a hard combination to do. This one stayed fairly okay. So, but I also didn't stick blend this one either. But the activated charcoal is a lot harder to get incorporated, in my opinion, than these other ones. This one's almost turning orange already. Can you see that? Instead of that yellow color, it's orange already. Oh, fingers crossed, guys. At least this one's going in a little bit easier. It's not so ploppy. It's thickening up, but it's not anything that I can't work with. Try to minimize the amount I get on the side, apparently to dump it right on my work area. So I don't know if any of you other moms out there go through this, that like when your kids go back to school, it's like you got to spend time to figure out how to like rework your schedule and how to get back to being efficient during certain hours. And like when my daughter's home during the summer, I kind of work things, you know, around what her and I need to get done versus things that I would normally work on during the day if she was at school. And it's finally getting in the swing of things, like knowing I got to be done with this by this certain point. And where we live is kind of out in the boonies, and our driveway's in a really bad spot. I'm like on a hill. So I go down the road a bit to pick my daughter up. So I have to drive to go get her. I don't bring her all the way here. So like I have to be gone by a certain time, and not looking forward to that in the winter at all. Because on top of that, we have a mile-long driveway. So you gotta drive for like a minute or two just before you get off of the property, and it's all uphill to get out. Okay, let's see if does it matter if I smooth that over? It needs to set up just far enough where I can get the stencil in it and it stays in that position, but make sure I got even soap here and there. Yeah, definitely wasn't as ploppy as the black, so it went in there a little bit smoother on that one. It doesn't seem to be setting up beyond that point. So maybe we can, let's see here. Ooh, this is starting to get thick on its own. It's just been sitting here. I should have been messing with it. Go ahead and get this mixed up then. At least the color, because this one is full. It's just a little bit smaller than, well, I guess it's a lot smaller than the other containers. You can feel it, it's getting warm too, just sitting in this container, so But this will be the last one to go on. Make sure we get down at the bottom scraped in. Okay, let's see here. I try to use my one finger as a guide for how deep this goes. Ooh, kind of liquidy. These will just be a little extra, like smell me soaps or, you know, stuff that we'll use around the house. Samples with orders because they're like mushed. I think I'm gonna have to get, maybe not. Oh, we're gonna have to deal with these in a minute. But I just didn't want to waste any of the soap. All right, let's see if we can get the rest of this out here. Try to line this up. There, that's better. To even these out a little bit. Ooh, that looks a mess. All right, let's get the rest of this out. We still have one more color to do. Okay. Let's get this other color sorted and get it in there. So at least the layers are going pretty consistently. All right. Fingers crossed, y'all. Get this worked in good. Before I put that fragrance oil in. Just want to mix just long enough to get it in there good. All right. I think I'm going to need to invest in a couple more bigger containers if I'm going to do more layered soaps. Usually I just put like the smallest accent color in this one, but it's hard to mix when it's all the way up at the top. It was so cold this morning when I woke up. I threw on a hoodie and then started getting stuff ready to make soap. And by the time I got done, the sun had come out and it's hot. It's even hot down here in the shop where it's normally nice and cool. So this is staying all right. It's gonna start getting thick here pretty soon, but just because of how this container is, I want to make sure I'm getting it fully incorporated. And at the same time make a mess. All right. Looking at this at a different angle, I can see missed some of that. All right, I do need to go get another mold for that. So I can sort that all out when I get done. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this poured in here. And I have not been checking to see if you guys were in frame this whole time just because I've been trying to get this soap done, so Hopefully we have a usable video out of this when we get done. Okay, last layer. Ooh, got a little ahead of myself right there. If we're looking on the bright side of things, as long as you can get this in before it goes like major thick, you can get it in while it's still fairly fluid, and then it sets up while it's in the mold really nicely. So if you're doing textured layers like we did in this one, it can be helpful. And I suppose that if I worked with this long enough, that I would get it down pat to where I could do different designs with it as well. It would just be a lot of experimenting with the colors. That's my biggest concern at this point. It's just not having all these colors go goofy on me like they have in a couple of the other soaps. So we tried some different color combinations this time and adding the titanium dioxide. Okay. Now that that's done, let's get this top smoothed. Because we're going to cut this soap, and then on the individual bars I will use some soap piping to stick the pumpkins. I'll get it out that I made to put on those. And I don't know if you guys remember the Mother's Day soap that I did with the all white bar with the colored flowers on the face of it. It's kind of the same idea. So I just want these to be fairly smooth on top. Thought about putting decorations up here too, but I think this will be enough.